Hey everybody, good morning. It's Dr. May here. I'm here to share today the SCARF model of social threat and reward. And I hope you weren't turned off by this title. It sounds very researchy to me, kind of like something I'd see in a journal article. But I learned about this a couple of months ago, and I really like it. I've been sharing it with my clients, with my students, and I really wanted to share it with you. And I finally got the PowerPoint together. So I hope you like it and find it useful. So here we go. And I put a little scarf here just to go along with this new acronym. And of course, you probably know I love acronyms, especially because I'm a DBT gal. And what's not to love, right? You got a nice, fun new acronym. So this was developed by a guy named David Rock in 2008. And what he's basically saying is that when these different conditions, all the letters of SCARF and what they stand for are present, that we tend to feel comfortable, we feel at ease. And when they're not here or it's not handled well, we feel more triggered and more stressed out and more uncomfortable. And of course, yes, we can feel threatened by physical threats, but this is more about a social threat. So when things aren't happening well socially or at work, and this model is often used for the workplace, when they're present, we feel better. When they're absent, we don't feel as good. So let's just quick review the letters of SCARF, and then I'm going to go into each one in more detail. So the first one, the S, stands for status. So this is about our ranking compared to others. And we're always kind of unconsciously ranking ourselves. Am I on equal ground? Am I ahead of this person? Am I behind this person? That kind of thing. Certainty, very big deal, of course. So this is our ability to kind of know and predict the future. And of course, nobody perfectly has a crystal ball and can actually know, but there's times when we feel that things are a little more comfortable and predictable. And there's other times when we feel things are very uncertain and we feel much more uncomfortable about that. Autonomy is about our sense of choice and control. So it's about that I have a power over myself and my choices and what I can do. Relatedness has to do with how comfortable I'm feeling in my relationships, that I feel liked by other people, that I feel like I could belong and feel safe with other people or not. And fairness is about fair exchanges between people. Do I feel like I'm being treated fairly? So let's break this down one by one and talk about what happens when the conditions are present with it, well, symbolized by a check, and when they're absent, which I'll symbolize by an X. Okay, so actually first, I forgot I just added this slide like 10 minutes ago. If any of you watched my sensory motor psychotherapy videos, I often refer to this diagram. This was developed by a guy named Dan Siegel, and it's about our neuroception, about our autonomic nervous system, which is designed to help us sense safety and danger. So it's always working in the background unconsciously all the time, trying to figure out if we're safe or unsafe. So when we feel safe, so when the SCARF elements are present, in this case, we will be in our window of tolerance. So this is a comfortable level of arousal where we feel like we're at ease, we can socially interact with people, and we're feeling pretty good. We're in our wise mind, we're doing okay. But when we're triggered, such as when the SCARF elements are not there, we could either experience hyperarousal, which is more like anxiety or anger, fight or flight, just feeling a high level of arousal that's really uncomfortable. So that might happen as a reaction that can give us a sense that the SCARF elements aren't there. Or we might flip to hypoarousal. So that might be like, oh, I feel really depressed or ashamed, or I'm really down on myself. I'm low energy, I'm shut down, I'm numbed out. So that might be another reaction we have when we're triggered with the absence of the SCARF elements. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind as I go forward and think, well, what happens to me when I'm experiencing these things? How could I tell within myself? How could I be mindful of my reactions and know that these SCARF things are going on? All right, so we're starting with the S. So again, this is status, or our ranking compared to other people. So when things are good, we feel like, yeah, people respect me as a person. I feel like I'm on equal footing. My knowledge is respected. My position is respected. Let's say if I'm a parent, my child is respecting me as a parent and I feel good, or my student is respecting me as a teacher, or my employees are respecting me as a boss, or maybe someone's just respecting me as a human being. So that's a good feeling of status. I feel respected and valued as a person, and that makes me feel comfortable in my window of tolerance. However, if someone's disrespecting me, it's as if they aren't respecting who I am. They don't respect me in my position, whatever it happens to be. They think I don't know anything, that I'm stupid, that I'm not worthy of respect. Maybe a child talking back to a parent could trigger that, or an employee not listening to a boss, or a student acting out in a classroom. All those things could kind of make the teacher, the boss, the parent feel disrespected and triggered. So when you feel like someone's knocking you down a peg, making you feel less than or inferior, that's a trigger for a status, okay? But they also say it could partly be triggered by receiving unsolicited advice or criticism. So that's basically saying, well, I don't think you're doing a good job, and this is why. And that makes you feel like you're being knocked down a peg as well. So if the advice is not delivered in a nice way, or you just happen to be very sensitive to feedback, which we talk about in RODBT quite a bit, that could be a status trigger. Okay, the C is for certainty. So this one's a very big deal. This is probably one of the more triggering elements of SCARF. So we feel good when we're given clear, predictable, reliable answers about things, when the expectations are clear about what we're supposed to be doing, when it's clear what goals we're supposed to achieve or what the timeline is. Things are laid out for us and we feel like, okay, this is some predictability here. I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what's expected of me. I know how to carry out this plan. Or let's say I'm a child and my parent follows through on what they're going to say. Or I'm at work and the boss tells me, if you do this, you'll get a raise. And then I do this and then I get the raise. So things are happening the way they're supposed to. If I follow the rules, things will go okay. If I break the rules, things won't go okay. It's very clear how things will work. And that gives me a sense of certainty. If I have a routine that I follow, and I know that every day I'm going to do A, B, C, D, and E in this order, and I have some control over that, that gives me a sense of certainty. So there's certain things that we could do to help create the certainty. Being around predictable people that follow the rules gives us certainty. But obviously, there's a lot of uncertainties in life. So there's always a balance of both, but there's things we could do to feel more comfortable and certain. However, when there's a lot of things up in flux, when there's a sense of unpredictability, our certainty is not there. So sometimes we just don't know what's going to happen next, and there may not be a possibility of knowing. Sometimes we don't know how long something's going to take, and whoever it is who's in charge can't give us an answer. And maybe we ask over and over again, hoping to get a sense of certainty and an answer, but we just can't get that answer. What if I was just diagnosed with cancer and they said, I don't know if you're going to live or die. I don't know how long your treatment's going to take. I don't know if this treatment's really going to work. Now I'm really lacking a sense of certainty and my anxiety is going to shoot up. Or I don't know if I'm going to end up keeping this job. I don't know if I'm going to be fired or not fired. Other people were laid off. Am I going to be laid off? If I'm in a family where people are unpredictable in my family, I never know what mood they're going to be in. I never know if they're going to treat me nice or if they're going to be mean to me. That could rock my sense of certainty. Other times, people might be communicating in kind of an unclear way, or might contradict themselves, or might give mixed messages. And I might think, I don't know what's going to happen next. Am I going to be in this relationship, out of this relationship? Are they interested in me, not interested in me? Are they going to stick around? Are they going to come through for me or not? That's a certainty trigger, okay? So all these things, and probably much more than what I'm saying as well, could be a trigger for us in terms of the certainty one. Okay, so the A, autonomy. So this is our sense of control and choice and independence. It's a sense, if the autonomy is there, I feel like I have the freedom to choose my destiny, to take that next step, to exercise some freedom of response. It's a feeling of empowerment, of control, of healthy control, of a healthy way of making a choice, and to have the freedom to choose what's right for me. So all of that is rewarding and feels good. When that's not there, I might feel like my choices are severely restricted, that maybe I'm in a situation where I don't have the independence or the freedom, that there's maybe really strict rules that are holding me back. Maybe there's a strict person, a controlling person that's restricting my autonomy. Maybe I'm in a relationship with a controlling person and he's not letting me make a certain kind of choice in my life. Maybe he's restricting who I can hang out with or where I'm going and putting a lot of pressure on me to do what he wants. That could trigger my autonomy. I work in a psychiatric hospital, as a lot of you know, and a lot of times the patients feel like there's a lot of restrictions of their freedom, which is true. And they don't have a sense of autonomy. They have to ask staff to open the bathroom every time they need to use the bathroom. They can't just freely go outside. They can't freely choose to smoke a cigarette if they want to smoke a cigarette. So their choices are limited and their autonomy is restricted, and they feel triggered by that, understandably. Okay. So that is that. And then relatedness. So we feel good when we're in comfortable, safe relationships, when we can trust the person we're with, when we feel like we're welcomed, that we have a sense of belonging, that people like us and they want to be around us and they're reliable and they're there for us. So all that is a good part of the relatedness that feels good and healthy and rewarding. But if the relatedness is not quite there, here's another acronym, I'm sneaking it in. You might feel insecure due to a fear of crap, okay? So I recently read this in a book, and I kind of liked it, so I threw it in. So if I'm afraid of criticism, rejection, abandonment, or punishment, crap, and I'm afraid that these things could mean a loss of an important relationship, that could easily spike up my threat response. Sound familiar, guys, right? So the criticism isn't just uncomfortable feedback. It means that they don't like me anymore. There's something wrong with me. I'm not worthy of this relationship. And I start to panic. So sometimes, it really can get to us, the crap stuff here. So we can be more aware of how that plays out in our life. So related to that, sometimes it can be very triggering if, we have an argument with somebody and now I'm afraid the person's mad at me. Now they don't like me anymore and I'm spinning out about that. And maybe they don't want to be with me anymore and they want to leave me. And look how I screwed up and I get into a shame spiral. Okay. Other times, because of other negative experiences we had, we might have difficulty trusting people and might fear betrayal. Yeah, the person seems nice now, but I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I don't know if this person's really going to treat me right in the long run, or if they're going to turn around and, do something that's really disrespectful or hurtful. So I might always be on guard for that. And sometimes, we're in relationships with people where they're not available consistently. Sometimes they seem like they're really into us and really, devoted. Other times they're kind of not quite there. Sometimes they might be really on target, very validating. Other times maybe very invalidating. They might be neglectful of our needs, may not care about our needs, and might frankly be abusive. So all of those obviously are related to this relatedness element and can be very triggering. And I'm sure there's a lot of other relational things I'm not covering here, and you could probably fill in the blanks, but I hope this kind of gave you the general idea. Okay, so finally, the F, fairness. We all like to be treated fairly. It makes us feel more comfortable. It makes our world feel more predictable. We want to be treated fairly and equitably compared to other people. And when there's clear rules and people are following the rules, that feels fair. And when communication is clear and transparent, that goes along with it as well. Listen, I'm being straight with you. This is what's going to happen. Okay, I get it now. And also related to, the certainty. If it's clear, it feels more fair as well. If it's more certain and fair, it kind of goes hand in hand. So obviously, very triggering if we feel like we're not being treated fairly. There's a lot of situations in life where there is bias, where there is discrimination, and we could sense it, we could feel it based on race, based on ethnicity, based on sexual orientation, based on gender, all kinds of things, even age discrimination, handicapped, disability, all that kind of stuff. And you sense that because of who I am, I'm not being treated as fairly as other people. Okay, very triggering. Sometimes we could sense we're in a situation where people are not following the rules. They're breaking the rules or bending the rules. And not only is that happening, but it's leading things to not turn out in my favor. And that feels unfair. Other people I might sense are getting special treatment, maybe privileges, promotions, opportunities that I'm not getting when I feel like I did earn them. And I'm watching someone else go forward and I'm not. Even in a family, maybe the sibling rivalry, I feel like my siblings being treated, better than me or given more privileges than me when I kind of earn them. That could feel very unfair, even in a family situation. But especially in work, in school, in the social sphere, fairness plays out there. And sometimes, I might get in trouble for doing the same thing someone else did when they didn't get in trouble. Why did, I get punished for this one little thing and they made a whole big deal and the other person got away with this big thing and no one cared. So that feels really unfair. All right. So what do we do? All right. I got to leave on some kind of a constructive note. So I wanted to offer a few coping strategies. So now, first of all, we're going to use the scarf as a mindfulness. So I'm going to tune in to when I'm feeling threatened and saying, well, what's going on? Which part of the scarf is being triggered for me? And even just clarifying that in your mind can be helpful. It kind of puts a little more structure and clarity into the situation, whereas before it might have just felt a little foggier. Okay, so that would be step number one. So now that I realize I'm feeling triggered, I would say the next thing I would do is to validate myself. Yeah, this scarf thing is a real thing. It's based in neuroscience. It makes sense that I'm feeling triggered because this is happening. Yeah, I could validate myself, show myself understanding that, yes, I get it and it makes sense. So if it's possible, it might be appropriate to communicate to the other people involved what's going on that you feel isn't right, and to see if you could problem solve with that person or communicate your needs clearly and resolve the situation. So if I feel like I'm being treated unfairly, I might communicate that to the person and ask if I could be treated more fairly and ask for specifically what I want. If things are being told to me in an unclear way and the guidelines aren't clear or whatever, I could ask for more clarity and certainty. If I'm concerned about the relationship, I could communicate my problems with the relationship or what I'm worried about and see if we could improve things. So at times, there might be interpersonal skills and communication skills I could use to try to work these things through. So I do feel more safe and comfortable and rewarded. Other times that may not fully be possible. So a possibility there could be that perhaps I'll distance myself from the person or situation creating the problem. So reduce the prompting event. It might reduce the feeling of threat. So if I'm around people that are disrespectful to me, that are not treating me right, that are controlling or bossy and taking my autonomy away, that are constantly making me feel like I'm not being treated fairly, maybe I'm asking myself, is it possible to distance myself from that person or people or that situation and just not be facing that all the time? Sometimes I could also try to seek people or situations that do help me experience scarf in a positive way. So someone who is treating me respectfully, that's giving me clear guidelines, that's giving me a sense that I can be my own person and be independent, that makes me feel secure in the relationship, that treats me fairly. So if I seek more of those situations, I might feel better. So even if I can't eliminate the first ones, if I create other positive ones, it might help me at least feel a little bit more balanced in my life and give me that place where I do feel safe and good. Other times, things may not change, or I can't leave the situation. It's not possible to exit a marriage all the time, or move out when I'm living with parents that aren't treating me fairly, or to leave a job just like that because I have a house to pay for and things like that. So I might have to stay there. If I can't negotiate, make it better, I might have to accept that this is how it is right now and use my coping skills to the best of my ability to try to feel a little bit more at ease. Maybe use some distress tolerance skills so that I feel a little less triggered, or to reduce the importance of some of those things and people in my life so that it's not taking over my life. So unfortunately, that's sometimes where we're at. All right, guys, so that's it. I hope you liked it and found it useful. So remember your new acronym SCARF, and I'll see you the next time. All right, take care, guys.